Hey guys, sorry I'm not there today. My daughter's sick, so I'm staying home with her. I hopefully should be back tomorrow. I didn't want you guys to miss your notes, so I'm going to handwrite them, and I would like for you to copy them down with me. So let's go ahead and get started. So today we're going to be talking about triangle inequalities. Bear with me because I'm going to be writing with one hand and recording with the other. All right, so triangle inequalities. All right, I'm going to have you draw a triangle. We're going to draw a right triangle. Label it the same as me. We'll start at the top, call it A, right angle is B, third angle C. I'm going to label angle A as 60 degrees. I'm going to label side AB as 6 units long, side BC as 8 units long, and side AC is 10 units long. So I'm going to ask you some questions about this triangle. What is the relationship between the largest angle and the largest side, and then also the smallest angle and smallest side. All right, so we just want to see how these two scenarios compare. So let's talk about the largest angle, and then we'll look for the largest side. So the largest angle, well, in order for us to figure out the largest angle, we need to actually figure out angle C so that I know which angle is the largest angle. So I know this one's 90, this guy's 60. How do we find angle C? They should all add up to 180. So you can just add 60 and 90 to get 150. Subtract that from 180. You get 30. Okay, so angle C is 30. So let's look for the largest angle. The largest angle is B. Now let's look for the largest side. Well, the largest side is side AC, which is 10. What is the relationship between them? Well, they are across from each other, or they're opposite of each other. So let's do the same thing now and look for the smallest angle and the smallest side. So the smallest angle is angle C, and the smallest side is side AB, and they are also across or opposite of each other. And if I were to ask you guys what is the relationship between the middle angle and the middle side, well, they are also going to be opposite of each other. This is a property of triangles. This always happens. Always, always, always. So let's use this property to answer some questions. So let's do an example together. So for example 1, we are going to list the sides from least to greatest. And I'm going to have you draw a few triangles. we'll do 3 examples. For example A, go ahead and just draw a triangle. Let's label it D, E, F. And I'm going to make angle E 101 degrees. Let's make angle F 15 degrees. I'm going to draw all the pictures first, then we'll actually answer the question. For part B, let's draw another triangle. Let's label it G, H, I. And let's make angle G 70 degrees and angle H 55 degrees. And then last, part C. Draw one more triangle. Let's call this J, K, L. And angle J is going to be 6x degrees. Angle K will be 22x plus 6 degrees. And L will be 16x minus 2 degrees. All right, so going back to the question, list the sides from least to greatest. So looking at part A, what do we need to figure out first in order to figure out the sides? Well, we need to know all 3 angles. So this is kind of like the first problem I gave you in the beginning. I need to find angle D. How do I find angle D? Well, let's go ahead and add up 101 plus 15, which is 116. Subtract that from 180, and you get 64. So angle D is 64. So now we have to list the sides from least to greatest. So how do we figure that out? Well, the smallest angle and the smallest side are always opposite of each other. So I'm going to look for the smallest angle, which is angle F. What side is opposite of angle F? This entire side, DE, or you can call it ED. So we're going to list that first. Then we'll go to the middle side. Well, the middle side is angle D. I'm sorry, the middle angle is angle D. The side opposite of it will be EF, or you could call it FE. And then the greatest side will be across from the greatest angle. So across from the 101 will be side DF. So there are the sides listed from least to greatest, even though we didn't have any lengths actually written down for these 3 sides. All right, let's do the same thing for part B. So I have 2 angles. I don't know angle I. I need to figure it out first. This way I know which one's the biggest, which one's the smallest, and which one's in the middle. So let's add 70 and 55, which gives you 125. We're going to subtract that from 180, and this will end up giving you 55. Okay, so, all right, I actually have 2 angles that are equal to each other. So these are both the smallest angle, so whatever's across for them are both going to be the smallest side. So it does not matter which one you start with. Let's say I start with angle H. What side is across from angle H? Side GI. And then what's across from angle I? Side GH. I'm going to put that these are equal to each other. Actually, I should use congruent. They're both the smallest sides, and then the largest side is across from angle G, which is HI. Okay. So last scenario, we want to find the smallest angle, the middle angle, and the largest angle. Well, how do we do that if I don't actually know the degrees? we should probably solve for x. So how do you think we will solve for x? What should all three of these angles add up to? They should all add to 180. So let's go ahead and add all three of these terms together and then set it equal to 180. Okay, adding our like terms, you've got 6x plus 22x plus 16. So 6 plus 22 plus 18 would be 46x. Then you have 6 minus 2, so that's 4. Then from there we can subtract 4 over, and we will get 176. And let's divide that, see what we get here. Oh, did I do that wrong? 176 divided by 46. I'm getting a decimal. Let me just double check my work. 6 and 22 and 16. 6 plus 22 plus 16. Oh, that should be 44. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know where I got 46 from. 44x. Okay, so let's do this again. 176 divided by 44. That makes more sense. X equals 4. All right, so x is 4. Now what? Plug it in. All right, you can do this in your heads. You could just type it into your calculator. What would angle J be? 6 times 4 is 24 degrees. Let's look at angle K. So 22 times 4 would be 88, plus 6 would be 94. And then 16 times 4 minus 2 gives you 62. If you want, just quickly double check with your calculator to make sure that these three angles add to 180, which they do. So now that we have all three of our angles, we can then answer the question, which is name the sides from least to greatest. So across from the smallest angle, which is angle J, would be which side? KL. Across from the middle angle, which would be angle L, is side JK. And then the largest angle, angle K, is across with JL. Okay, so there are the sides listed from least to greatest. So now let me reverse it on you. We are now going to list the angles from least to greatest. And we'll just do 2 examples for this one. So for example A, let's draw a triangle. Let's call it A, B, C. And I'm going to name this side AB as 13 units long. Side BC will be 17 units long. Let's make side AC 15 units long. Okay, and then the last triangle. Let's call it D, E, F. Sorry. Side DE, let's make that 5 units long. Side DF, let's make it 24. And switch it up. Let's make side EF the square root of 18. Okay. So let's go back to the first one. How do we list the angles from least to greatest? Well, we're going to look for the smallest side. So the smallest side is 13, side AB. What is across from that side? Angle C. So even though I don't know anything about angle C, measurement-wise, I know it's the smallest angle. What would be the next smallest angle? Angle B. And the largest angle A. Okay, let's go ahead and do this one. Well, looking at these three sides, How do I know which one is the smallest? I got a square root. Let's take the square root of this and we'll just approximate it. This is approximately 4.24. All right, now that makes more sense. We know that is going to be the smallest side. So which angle is the smallest angle? What's across from it is angle D. What will be the middle angle? Angle F. And the largest angle is across from the 24, angle E. Okay, so that is the first part of triangle inequalities. Just remember, largest angle opposite largest side, smallest angle opposite smallest side. Now I'm just going to teach you guys one more thing, and after this you can get started on your worksheets for today. So we're going to focus a little bit more on how the sides relate. How do the sides of a triangle relate? Here is a rule that you must memorize. The sum of any two sides is always greater than the third side. The sum of any two sides is always greater than the third side. So let's look at an example using numbers here. So for example 1, if I were to ask you, does this triangle exist? And I were to draw a triangle and label one side as 1 unit, the other side as 1 unit, and the third side as 2 units. Can this triangle actually be created? Okay, so we gotta follow this rule. The sum of any two sides. So what does sum mean? You gotta add. Okay. So if I were to add any two sides, it should always be greater than the third leftover side. Well, let's try it. If I were to add 1 and 2, is that greater than the leftover side, which would be 1? Well, yes, this works. 3 is greater than 1, so that's fine. But I gotta work around the triangle. Let's say instead of picking 1 and 2, I picked 1 and 1. When I add, do it over here, 1 plus 1, is that greater than the leftover side, which is 2? Well, no, it's equal to it. But this is not a true statement. 2 is not greater than 2. So, does this triangle exist? No. It does not exist. Let's take a look at a different one. We'll call this part A. So we'll look at part B. If I were to give you another triangle and I made its side lengths 5, 3, and 6, does this triangle exist? Okay, well I can add up any two sides. Let's say I add up 5 and 6. Is that greater than my leftover side, which is 3? Yes, because you get 11 is greater than 3. That works out, so that's perfectly fine. But we gotta just check them all. So if I were to add 3 and 6, is that greater than 5? Yes, because you get 9 is greater than 5. So far so good. There's only one that we haven't done left, and that was 5 and 3. So when you add 5 and 3, Is it greater than the leftover side, which would be 6? And the answer is yes. You get 8 is greater than 6. So yes, this triangle does exist. Okay, I just have 2 more for you. Kind of going off of this idea. Sorry, that's my dog whining in the background. You want to see him? Hey, Weston. Hi. Okay, all right. Sorry, guys. Okay, example 2. Weston, stop. What is the range of possible answers for the third side? And I'm going to give you a picture. Again, we'll call this part A. What if I were to give you a triangle and only 2 side lengths are given? Let's make this one 10 units and this one 3 units. And then this one we don't know. We'll just call it X. So according to this rule up here, I need to make sure that whatever this third side is going to be, is that whenever I add 2 sides up, the sum has to be greater than the third side. So there's not going to be one number that works for this. There's going to be several numbers. So that's why we're looking for a range of possible answers that could fit in for this third side. For example, if I were to add 10 and 3, I'm going to get 13. So that has to be bigger than this third side. So this third side is definitely going to be less than 13. But what is it going to be more than? Is it going to be more than 0? Is it going to be more than 1? You know, what would work? Like if I were to add 3 in this side, it has to be bigger than 10. Or 10 plus this side has to be bigger than 3. So how you figure it out is actually very simple. You're going to add the 2 sides that were given to you, 10 plus 3, which is 13. That's going to be the maximum number that the third side could be. And then you're also going to subtract those 2 sides. And you always do the bigger number minus the smaller number. 10 minus 3, which is 7. That's going to be your minimum. So your range is not going to include 7 and 13, but it's going to be in between 7 and 13. So how you write it is an inequality. 7 is my minimum number. I'm going to do is less than X, my third side, which is less than 13. This is how you write out the range. Your third side is in between 7 and 13. So we'll just do one more like this. So for part B, we'll draw a new triangle. This time, let's call this third side Y. This one 2, this one 9. So again, what is the range going to be? Well, we're going to add them. 2 plus 9 is 11, so that's my max. And then we're going to subtract them. 9 minus 2 is 7. So my answer for Y is going to be in between 11 and 7. So how do you write that? 7 is less than Y, which is less than 11. My range for Y is in between 7 and 11 units long. Okay guys, that's it. Go ahead and start on your worksheets, and I hopefully will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.